What do you think, Otto? Is this a good daily driver? All right, well, it is another gorgeous September fall day, and the car of choice that I'm driving today is the MG Midget. This is obviously Nugget's preferred car of choice, as you can tell. It's one of his favorites, and it's a gorgeous September day here in beautiful Colorado. We got the flat irons over there. Temperature's perfect, and it's one of these days where it's the perfect day for this car. Now, I've been asked this question quite a bit, and I never actually did a video on whether an MG Midget would make a good daily driver. And I'm 50-50 on whether to answer that in a yes or a no. And why that is, well, I'll go over a couple of reasons as to why. Now, I've had this car for a very long time now, and it has probably exceeded what I expected out of a British sports car. No offense to the British, or Lucas, Prince of Darkness, but reliability and British sports cars are seldomly, as the world knows, go hand in hand. And I have felt that this car has changed my perception on that greatly, for a multitude of reasons. Number one, reliability. It has been a very reliable car. In fact, it has exceeded my expectations in reliability. In all the years that I've owned this car, it has never actually left me stranded. The only time that has ever left me stranded was when the clutch discs had failed, essentially rendering the driveline useless because the clutch was no longer engaging, which that's understandable. But besides that, I've never had an issue where this car has actually left me stranded. Has it caused issues to where it has prevented it from running at 100%? Well, of course. You have to think about it. This thing is, nearly half a century old. It's a small sports car. It is trying to keep up with the demographics of today's traffic requirements, which this car was never meant for that. So it has exceeded my expectations when it comes to reliability. Now we'll go back to the question is, would I consider this a good daily driver? Well, I daily drove this downtown in the city of downtown Denver, which is way off in the yonder right over there, for most of the summer and fall. We have 4 seasons here in Colorado, so that means that snow is inevitable, and when that comes to winter conditions in this vehicle, I would highly recommend not driving this vehicle in the winter. I've tried it once, and frankly, once is enough. It is rear-wheel drive. It is lightweight. The tires are very small, and there's no ABS or any type of anti-traction control, anti-skid control. It is just pure motoring and power put to the wheels, and this is the worst car you could choose for driving in the winter, in my opinion. So that's a negative I would say about daily driving an MG. Winter conditions, it is not the best. When it comes to cold starting, these cars have personalities. It's a carbureted 4-cylinder. This has the 1275 in it, which is, in my opinion, one of the better British engines to come out of England. It has been a headache-free engine. It always starts for me. It's easy to work on, it's affordable, and for how small of an engine it is, being 1.3 liter or 1275 cc's, it packs a punch, in my opinion. And in this car, it's perfect. It's the perfect pairing. But when it comes to cold weather, these vehicles and these cars and these engines, they have a personality. And what I mean by personality is some days it will start right off the bat. You turn the key, you pull the choke, she starts instantly. Life is good. There's other days that you are cranking and you are cranking and you are finessing that throttle. You're kind of hearing this audible tone whether she's about to fire in all God's glory and start. So that comes down to the category of personality. And each of these cars and these engines that I've ever dealt with, whether it's an MGB, GT, Midget, they all have a personality. Sometimes they like to start right away, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they run right, sometimes they don't. So keep that in mind if you're considering daily driving one of these. Of course, it'll daily drive. It'll be a great daily driver. But be prepared to wrench on this daily driver. Prepared to have days of frustration. If you're always in a hurry, you're always running late, this might not be the perfect car for you. You can go buy a Honda CR-V today, push the button, it starts, it'll get you to your destination. Not that this car won't get you to your destination, but it might take a few more minutes initially to get going. And I think people need to realize that. And they often leave a bad name for British cars, especially the MGs. It's like, oh, this car left me stranded, I couldn't get it started. Well, no, you didn't just give it enough chance to get going. You didn't finesse it the right way. You didn't work with it the right way to get started. And I think that's where it divides the fine line of whether it's a good daily drive or whether it's not. I would daily drive this all day long, but I'm also mentally prepared to kind of finesse, get the engine going, be prepared to, oh, I might need to do this, I might need to adjust the carb here, yada yada. You're in a mental preparation to get to your destination, and you might have to do a couple of things to the car to get there. And I'm perfectly fine with that, because where it's frustrating a very, very small amount sometimes, it yields a very incredible driving experience. I love driving this car. I mean, it's still to this day, it puts a smile on my face, and it looks good, and everything about it is just the reaction of people when you're going down the road, and they're always just loving this car. I mean, look at it. It's aged very well. So that is where I would consider, if you want to make this a daily driver, be mentally prepared to work on it. Get familiar with the car. Don't just expect that it's always going to get you to your destination headache free, because there's always a moment in time when you're driving this. Perfect example is a couple days ago. It was not wanting to start right away. I had to finesse the throttle, wait for that fuel pump audibly to know that the carbs were being loaded up with fuel. And I gave it a few seconds, kind of finessed the throttle, and she started right up. But to the average person, they would consider that as, oh, it's broke down, it's not starting, I don't like this car, it's kind of a headache, when all they had to do was just finesse it a little bit. Another thing to consider about daily driving one of these is this car was originally designed for the British roads, where they never exceeded more than 60 miles an hour, if that. More so 45 realistically. This car is at its happiest at 55 miles an hour. It'll do 70 all day long, but it's also not meant for that. And I feel that aggravates to bolts rattling loose, the longevity being reduced. So if you are doing a commute that's more than 50 miles and it's on the highway and people are doing 85 miles an hour, you got to expect that this car, yes, it might do that, but you are running it very thin and you're pushing it harder than it should be pushed. And if you plan on doing that every single day as a commuter and a daily driver, then be prepared that stuff is going to fail faster. They're very good cars, but they're also fragile cars. It's a little car. I mean, it literally is a miniature sports car. And its purpose is to be a weekend driver. Yes, people use these as dailies years ago, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't do that today, but keep in mind the conditions that you are putting this vehicle through. And is it going to be the right vehicle? If you are having to drive an hour every single day at 75 miles an hour, this might not be the best daily driver for that, because you're running that car pretty thin. I am very lucky with this driveline because the RPMs are very low at 70, and it's got good cruising gear line. But that doesn't mean that I would still daily this 100 miles every day on the highway, because that's just not what it's meant for. It's meant to be in the twisties up in the mountains here and go downtown with your friends, you know, on a date with your girlfriend on the weekend. So keep that in mind. Now, also keep in mind that creature comforts such as air conditioning, heaters, seats, comfortable seats, Bluetooth, all that stuff, that's almost non-existent with these. Yes, these have a heater. Heck, some of these even came with AC units back in the day. This one does not have AC. It does have a heater, and it works marginally good. Would I once again drive this in the winter at 30 degree or 20 degree weather with this heater? Probably not. It wouldn't. That's not its purpose. But keep that in mind. These are not creature comfort cars. This is not like, if you compared this to a new Lexus or heck, a new Hyundai, you'd be like, this is very primitive. Of course it is. Its purpose is to be a sports car, to go around the corner the fastest and put a smile on your face, not to massage your back while you're commuting to work. Keep that in mind. This sits very low. You have your seats, your roll-up, hand roll-up windows, and for me, I love that. But would I drive this day after day to work and back? Probably not. I'd want to have something that's more suitable. For me, it's my 300 TD wagon, diesel wagon, and that's a perfect daily driver because it's meant for creature comforts and highway cruising. and this is what I use for the weekends, and occasionally we'll drive it during the week to work or whatnot. So keep that in mind as far as comfort and everything surrounding that. Another aspect to consider is safety. You know, you hear both sides of the story of, oh, this car is the safest car, they're well built, you'll survive a crash. I don't know, I'm pretty sure that guy's blowing smoke up your butt, because frankly, I would not want to be hit in this car. I would not want to rear end somebody in this car, and I of course would not want to be rear ended myself in this car, because my neck would snap off like a pretzel. This car was never meant to be in an accident. The British didn't think of that. They thought of, I'm gonna make the best beer and I'm gonna make the most enjoyable car to drive fast, and we'll worry about crashing after the pub. Well, they got drunk, forgot about that, and well, they produced a very great car that I would not want to be in an accident with. Keep that in mind. No airbags, this car is gonna crunch, and it's gonna crunch very good when you get hit or you hit somebody else. The odds of surviving this in an accident versus the new Honda CR-V is night and day. Even if that CR-V didn't have airbags, heck, you could crash a Mazda Miata and your chances of survivability are much greater than this car. It's just not a crash-worthy car. And if you're driving it every day as a daily with the crazy, you know, rush hour and everybody driving nuts, keep in mind the probability of you getting in an accident goes up because of that. So, safety. I feel perfectly safe in this car, but keep in mind, this car sits low. Your head is right here. An average SUV's tire is right here. So, driving it every day in rush hour traffic, people don't see you. You're small, you're little, you're sitting low, feeling cool about life. It's easy to get hit. I would not want to get hit in this car, so keep in mind safety-wise, especially if you're wanting to daily drive one of these. You know, I went back to the topic of reliability. It's incredibly reliable, parts are cheap, but stuff will break. Be prepared for that. It is not the safest car when it comes to daily driving everywhere, and the probability of, would you stick your wife in this car every single day, or would you stick your kids in this car every single day? Well, that's for you to decide. Yes, I probably would, because I have a big admiration for these cars and I like being different and not follow the Joneses and have an SUV, but there's also a risk with that. You would not want to get hit in one of these. Keep that in mind. When it comes to everyday suitability for usability, and what I mean by that is it, what would be the best word to put, practical? Well, not really if you have a large family, obviously. This is a 2-seater car. I call it 2.5 because we got Nugget here. Actually, you want to come out? Come out on this floor. Come on. You've been very good. Oh, you're just a little stiff today, aren't you? This is a 2-seater car. You have this, you have this. The trunk space is pretty marginally good on this. If you go grocery shopping, you can, sorry, it's a little dirty. You got some towels and stuff in there, but marginally good. Could you get a full grocery order in this car? Probably not. I'd say maybe 70%. My girlfriend and I fit perfectly with Otto in here. We've obviously do road trips with this car all the time. And, you know, it's a good weekend cruiser. But let's say you're going out, you're trying to get your friends in here, you have bags, suitcases, keep that in mind. There's not a lot of space in this vehicle, and that is something to consider with these. So that is me more dogging on the fact of, no, this would not make a good daily driver, but that's just laying out the fine details. I, of course, will still absolutely daily drive this car if I had to. It is very reliable. It is an absolute joy to drive, and it just looks cool, and people go absolutely nuts about it. So it's a fine line. When I first entered this video showcasing whether this is a good daily driver, and I said it's 50-50. You have to outweigh whether you think this would be or would it not be. I'm undecided. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying yes, because every person is different. This fits my needs and what I need out of a vehicle. And of course, if you ask, would you daily drive this vehicle? Well, yeah, I would, but I'm a short guy. I fit in this car very well. I don't have any kids. I have half a kid, my girlfriend, and my reasonings of commute are short distances. I don't have to drive 50 miles every day. If that was the case and things were changed up differently, well, then my opinion of daily driving this might be a little bit more different. So hopefully that sheds some light. I was asked several times whether would you daily drive an MG Midget? It'll always get you there. It'll always get you to your destination, especially with this 1275. It's the best Dane motor in my opinion. it'll always get you there. But there will be days of frustration, there will be days of uncertainty, and there will be days that you're just wanting something with air conditioning and those butt warmers and everything that new modern day technology offers. There are days that you're gonna wish for that. So just keep that in mind when choosing one of these as a daily. But besides that, they're phenomenal cars. And well, he's getting hot. It's a gorgeous day. I'm not gonna waste it anymore. And I will be doing a video coming up on performance mods you can do for your MG Midget 1275 and other ideas if you're wondering how to squeeze more ponies out of your engine, and maybe it'll give you some insight from what I've learned from friends of mine and other aspects that have done performance mods. So hopefully that'll help. Hope you enjoyed this video, and well, we're gonna go for a cruise now. Ready to go? Well, you're pretty comfy there, aren't you? All right, let's get out of here. Let's skedaddle. You ready to skedaddle? You know what that word is? I need you to spell it out for me, okay? Skedaddle. Okay, come on.